Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Lil Dort. I'm back. I'm sorry, guys. Dropped the ball. Haven't been uploading. I've got a big project on the way, though. I'm not gonna give you guys a date, anything like that, but I've got a big project that I'm editing nightly on. Um, yeah, as a punishment for me not uploading on this channel, in the description, I've got a sleeper fantasy basketball league for you guys to join. Winner's going to get $50 Xbox or PlayStation. So if you see this video and you're interested, click that link in the description. If you're from Twitter, click the link in the description and stay tuned in the video, man. You guys could reach me on Twitter if you have questions about the league. You could also reach me on Discord. I'll also put that in the description. And yeah, just like, comment, sub, and please share it to a friend, man. Let's see what you guys think about my list. Today I'm going to be talking about the top fantasy basketball players for each team. Let me know in the comments who you think your favorite team's best fantasy player should be. Just got home from school, man. My eyes look red. I don't smoke. I don't do none of that. Let's just get straight into it, man. With the Boston Celtics. For the Boston Celtics, this is going to sound controversial, but as a fantasy head last year, I don't think it is. And I think if you know what you're talking about, it isn't. Jalen Brown is my pick for the Celtics. And here's why. I love Tatum. This channel might start looking like a Tatum hate channel, but I think Tatum's better than Jalen Brown. But statistically speaking, last season, Jalen Brown, before he got injured, was a top 3 fantasy player in the league, which was crazy. He helped me so much in my fantasy league. Points, he averaged there was a point where he was averaging 25, 6, and 6, and he'd also give you 2 steals and maybe a block. I mean, that's a great fantasy player all around. Tatum is a bucket. If your league prioritizes points more, take Tatum. The sleeper league does not. So for that pick, I'm going to take Jalen Brown. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, you got 3 names to pick from here between Kyrie, Harden, and KD. No going wrong there. Probably all of them could be first through third round picks. But in my opinion, James Harden is the best fantasy player out of those 3. I mean, I think it comes down between Harden and KD. Harden turns the ball over a lot more, but he's a lot of a better assister. I didn't want to say passer, but I guess he is a better passer too. He gets more assists. He stuffs the stat sheet there. KD obviously points again. If your team prioritizes points, take KD. But Harden is that fantasy guy. For the Knicks, it's Julius Randle. I don't think I need a breakdown on why Julius Randle's the best fantasy player for the Knicks. He's going to be the top scorer, probably the top rebounder, and he has the ball more than anyone else, so he gets assists. He turns the ball over a lot, but hopefully that's limited with Kemba there. For the Sixers, their best fantasy player is Joel Embiid. I like Embiid a lot. I think Simmons you could also say, but we just don't know with Simmons. I think Embiid's still the better fantasy player unless he gets hurt. That's the only thing with Embiid. And I guess same thing with Jalen Brown and Harden. The Raptors is where it gets interesting. This one, I think there's a little bit of a debate. I put Siakam. I just think he scores the ball the best. He's the most proven player there. But you could also argue Fred VanVleet. He had one of the best fantasy games ever last season. He had a crazy game last season. Scotty Barnes, I think, could step in there and surprise some people. Defensively, he's going to give you a total of 3 between blocks and steals. And then I'd guess next season he's going to average somewhere between 9, 4, and then defensive stats. And Chris Boucher also. Chris Boucher could be a 14-7 player next year with 3 blocks. And I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't take him in mine. Or I didn't take him over Siakam. But that, if that situation occurs, Boucher is that guy. Next up, we've got the Chicago Bulls. For the Bulls, I've got Zach Levine. He's their top scorer. It's pretty simple. DeRozan also like could be there, but I just think DeRozan scores so much less. Like Zach LaVine's still gonna make plays, and he's gonna give you 30. DeRozan's gonna make plays and give you 20. So I took Levine. DeRozan probably will have more assists, but I think Levine's points in this rare occasion outdo that. And then obviously there's Lonzo, who's like a fantasy god. He does everything fantasy wise, but I had to put Levine there just because Levine will give you a 30, and he doesn't turn the ball over much for a player that plays like him. Next up, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I got Jarrett Allen. You could argue between Allen and Sexton. I think Allen's he's 16-10 with 3 blocks. Like that's self-explanatory. Sexton, if he gets shipped though to a team where he's the primary option, that would benefit you so much in fantasy if you could land a player like Sexton. Next up, the Pistons. Jeremy Grant, pretty easy one. I also said you could mention Cade because who knows, Cade could come out and average 18-7, and I wouldn't be surprised. I like Cade a lot, but I got Jeremy Grant there. Pacers, Sabonis, Bucks, Giannis. Not too much explanation there. I want to try to give an argument for Miles Turner or Brogdon, but there really isn't one. Sabonis is going to give you 18, 13, and 6 assists. That's just what he does, and there's not a lot of players in the league that'll do that. For the Hawks, might be controversial. Clint Capella's a fantasy demon, bro. He's going to give you 16 and 16. Trae Young will give you 28, 7, but he'll have 7 turnovers. So that hurts a lot. But with Clint Capella, he's going to give you 15-plus points, 15-plus rebounds. That's a fantasy demon. Hornets, it's LaMelo. I can't see a debate there with anyone, really. Maybe Scary Terry for buckets, but it's I don't know. I don't see the debate. Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler is my pick. I just think 27-7. That's a dream fantasy player. I know Bam's there, and he's going to give you 16, 12, and 3 blocks and a steal, which is still impressive. But I think Jimmy's more consistent. I mean, last season, you can't really say it, but the seasons before that, you've never seen Jimmy go and have a 6-point game. He doesn't have bad games often. So I'd take Jimmy there. You could see Bam go weeks in the season quiet, where he's just not aggressive, which is maybe he turns it up this year, but I'm going off what I've seen, and I've seen Jimmy Butler provide fantasy points. Next up, Orlando Magic. I've got Jonathan Isaac here, but I'm going to contradict myself crazy. It's the opposite, where Jonathan Isaac is a quiet player that I think is going to turn up this year. He's been battling injuries the last 3 years. Hopefully he gets consistent minutes this year, and maybe he's a 17-10, 3-3 guy, which he should be. That's a Jonathan Isaac season. And if he is that, he's a top fantasy player. But he's got to be healthy for that. And then I also put Wendell. Wendell's such a great fantasy player too. Fantasy sleeper. Points, rebounds, it's all him. And then Wizards, I got Brad Beal. I like Dinwiddie this year, though, as a sleeper. I think Dinwiddie, I haven't done any mocks yet, but I think Dinwiddie's going to drop in fantasy drafts. And with that being said, I would take a risk on him. He's going to be a hooper this year, and he's going to get assists. These next 4 teams are pretty self-explanatory. Nuggets, Wolves, Thunder, Blazers. Stop for a second and guess. Pause me right here. Okay? Nuggets, Jokic. Wolves, Cat. Thunder, Shea. Blazers, Dame. Not much I got to say about that. Maybe Blazers, you could say Nurk or Rocco just because they do everything. But I don't think they're going to have better fantasy seasons than Dame. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory. The Jazz are a little interesting, though, because you could say Gobert, Donovan Mitchell, and I don't think there's a wrong answer, but I wrote Gobert down just because points, rebounds, blocks, he's going to kill it for you. Not points, rebounds, blocks. He's going to give you 10 points, he's going to give you 14 rebounds, and he's going to give you 4 blocks. Like, that's a good player, you know. I don't think he's, like, a lock better than Donovan Mitchell. In my draft, I'd probably take Donovan Mitchell over him just because there's not as many good guards as there is bigs. But Gobert is there. Warriors, Curry, Clippers, Paul George. Don't got to explain much about that. I have Paul George on the Clippers because Kawhi's hurt. For the Lakers, it's more interesting. You could argue for Bron, Russ, or AD. I'll give you an argument for each, and you guys let me know what you think is better. I'll tell you after I give the argument. For Bron, you know he's going to give you 25, 7, and 7. And then everyone always hypes up his defense every year. So who knows? Maybe he gives you a steal and a block, right? And that's great. LeBron's that guy. 25, 7 to 7, steal and a block. The only problem with this would be you got to figure out how he's going to deal with Russ. LeBron hasn't had that ball dominant point guard since Kyrie left Cleveland. So it's going to be different for sure. For Russ, you could say the same thing about LeBron, but Russ is going to give you 22, 10, and 10. The only thing with Russ is that adjustment, and he turns the ball over a lot. But Russ is the king of big fantasy games. Like, Russ will give you Russ is going to have a 45, 15, and 10 game this season. Guaranteed. You can't really guarantee that with anyone else. And then Anthony Davis, big man, obviously going to give you 20, 25, 10, and steals, blocks, assists, whatever. We can talk about all that. But the only problem with AD is throughout the season he's going to go soft. And it's going to happen. And then when he bounces back, it's going to pop more. But I think when AD's dogging, my pick is AD. If AD is in that mode this year to kill, there's no one fucking... I'm telling you now, I'm taking AD number 1. If AD is in that mode to just kill this year. AD is that guy. Next, for the Suns, I've got Deandre Ayton. I think he's going to take a leap this year. I think you're going to see him in the 20 points scoring-wise and then 13 rebounds. I could also see him dropping off this year. And like everyone hyping him up from that finals run and taking him early and him dropping off. So CP and Book got to be talked about in this spot. But I took Ayton with my pick. Next, the Sacramento Kings. I put De'Aaron Fox, which to casuals that seems pretty straight up. But you got to remember, Rashawn Holmes is a fantasy demon too. He's 16-13. Like, he'll give you that every night. So I like Rashawn Holmes a lot. Don't let him slip too far in your draft. Rashawn Holmes is a demon. Mavericks, Luka, Rockets, Christian Wood. You could argue John Wall. I'm not taking John Wall over Christian Wood. Christian Wood's just too consistent. And we don't know about John Wall's situation there. Grizzlies, Ja. Spurs, DeJounte. And the last team we're going to talk about is the Pelicans. You could argue Zion. You could argue B.I. And you could argue Valanciunas for this. But I think it's Zion. I think Valanciunas is going to have the paint clogged. And I feel like that works better for Zion than Valanciunas. Just because Zion's the type to just keep boom, 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 trying to get his tip in. Pause. But Zion's the type to just keep going up with it. Valanciunas is also a great player. That's nothing against Valanciunas. But what I'm saying is I trust Zion in that situation more than I trust Valanciunas. And then Ingram's obviously a bucket. And yeah, I said the Spurs is DeJounte. You could say Pirtle. Pirtle's going to slip in drafts too. But Pirtle's a really good fantasy player. Yeah, guys, click the link down below for that sleeper league. I really want as many people as I know to be in that league, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's 20 people league, so it's going to be popping. And you get a free $50 if you win. Like, you can't really complain if you win or lose because you're not putting nothing in it. So, yeah. Thank you guys, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what other content you want to see. I want to do more fantasy content on this channel until I get this project done. And you guys are going to be excited for that project. Let me tell you. I'm really excited what I'm doing with that. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and peace.